sci-fi movie, we're hunting hard.
Cold, cold eyes upon me, they stare. People all around me, and they're all in fear.
A couple of years ago, the European studio Humo approached Jean-Claude Van Damme and told him, "Hey, we want to make a movie called JCVD, starring you." Van Damme pretty much said, "Yeah, okay, just let me see a script." And that's where things kinda came to a dead end. From what I understand, what happened was that all of the scripts that they gave him really wanted to show him as a buffoon. But Van Damme was trying to do something different with his career at the time. Trying to get the project moving along, the producer decided to bring in director Mabrouk el Mechri, who happened to be a huge Van Damme fan. And Van Damme saw the director's last movie and agreed to have dinner with him. The two of them come up with a concept for the movie, and thus production finally begins. What resulted from that was quite possibly the single most underappreciated movie of the last 10-15 years. JCVD is a smart and interesting movie with a lot to offer, but it seems to come with a stigma it just can't shake off. And that's rather tragic because this was easily one of the best surprises I've ever seen. Jean-Claude Van Damme is having a hard time in life. Work isn't going well, he's broke, he's about to lose custody of his daughter, in no small part to her own testimony where she talks about how all the other kids make fun of her whenever one of her dad's movies plays on TV, and Steven Seagal just stole his last role.
He promised to cut off his ponytail.
While visiting his home in Belgium, he goes to a post office so he can transfer a bit of money to his lawyer. But little does he know that the place he just walked into is actually being robbed. And yeah, these people are messing with the wrong man on the... Or, you know, maybe he's just a guy. But it's not all bad news. I mean, now there's a celebrity in there. A national icon. So you know that the authorities are gonna be making every possible effort to get those hostages out of there safely and promptly and...
Il était 27 à Centrale. Jean-Claude Van Damme est en train de braquer la fin de la rue du Pavillon.
Ah, son of a bitch. It also doesn't help appearances when the robbers get savvy to the fact the cops think it's Van Damme who's doing all this, so they put a gun to his head and force him to play along. And just threw out a bit of petroleum to this burning building, one of the robbers seems to idolize Van Damme a bit too much, while another one who seems to hate his guts is acting way too volatile for comfort. So now poor Van Damme is stuck between a rock and another rock in a situation that really wouldn't be out of place in one of his movies, but without any of the benefits that would actually come from being in one. It is just not a good day to be a national icon. Actually, everybody does really good work in this movie. The three actors who play the robbers are perfect, and all the other minor characters really do their job establishing the tone for the movie. But rest of the cast aside, I know what everyone's dying to ask. What about Van Damme? I mean, this is a crime drama, and we all know the guy never did get that award for Best Dramatic Actor in a drama about a dramatic sequence of events. So? Well, actually, Van Damme does turn in the best performance in the movie. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, no, this guy's trying to sell me something. I mean, come on, it's Van Damme! The guy has the acting prowess of a bicycle. But no, I'm serious. I know this isn't saying much, but this really is his best work as an actor. He turns in this performance that could only be described as honest. I mean, this is a weirdly sincere movie, and a lot of that comes from Van Damme himself. Visually speaking, the movie seems to have a rather gritty look to it. The use of depressing colors and lighting seem to give it a rather realistic look. Stylized, yeah, but grounded. The cinematography is also good. Lots of long single-shot scenes, good camera work, visually interesting. So yeah, props to that. The score from composer Gus Twaltzing definitely sounds like music from a caper movie. It's kind of on the upbeat, and it does have a bit of an old-school quality to it. The songs for the movie are also dripping with that old-school sound. Bottom line, the movie has a great soundtrack, and both the score and the songs just make the movie all the better. The people who've seen the Spanish versions of these videos know that sometimes I have a section where I talk about the Spanish translations of these movies and games. Well, if there's something more talking about. Anyway, the spoken languages in this movie are French and English, but there is a full English dub available on the Blu-ray and DVD. And it's not very good. Kind of obvious actually, and a bit distracting. It doesn't really add anything to the movie either, so just stick with the subtitles.
Did you see what he did in there? This is not a movie, what do I care?
Okay, good acting, good music, and a great story, so what else? Actually, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about in this section, but I decided against it in the last minute. It's nothing important, just little details that I thought would be better for the audience to see for themselves rather than being told about it. But that doesn't mean there's nothing left to talk about. For example, even though the story can get pretty serious at times, this is actually a pretty funny movie. Not only that, it also knows how to balance the comedy and the drama very well. And it never tries to be a parody, which is great, because going in that direction would have just cheapened the movie. Also, movies like this tend to be full of cliches, but this movie takes those cliches and does interesting things with them. It doesn't go the obvious route, and it's all the better for it. Ultimately though, the one thing that's going to stick with you long after the movie's over is going to be Van Damme himself. Now, you don't have to be a fan of his to appreciate the movie. Most everyone knows who he is, most everyone will understand the setup. And even though there's a couple of jokes here and there that require a bit of Van Damme trivia, most anyone will get the point. But it's because it's Van Damme that everything works so well. It's his strong performance and our, well, frankly, low expectations of him that make it all work so well. You'd still have a good movie if it was Van Damme playing an action star that fits his description. But because this is all happening to Van Damme, it adds a certain weight that you just couldn't replicate with some random fictional character. I need to talk about the advertising for this film because I think it was done in the single worst possible manner. Both the trailer and the Blu-ray cover tried to make this look like a flat-out action movie. I mean, the way this thing is cut is making it all seem like it was a fast-paced ordeal. And this? What is this? Why is there a helicopter here? Where's this building in the movie? None of this, nor anything kind of sort of maybe a little bit like it actually happened here. Honestly, I don't know how I would have advertised it, but I do know that this wasn't it. I mean, this is a crime drama, well, slash comedy. But when they tried to sell it as something that it wasn't, it ended up doing more harm than good. Anyway, I mentioned before that one of the best parts of this movie was Van Damme himself, that the movie just wouldn't be the same without him. But it's also the fact that it's him that's going to keep a lot of people from ever investing the time to actually see this movie. And I get it, it is a hard pitch to swallow. A movie about Jean-Claude Van Damme, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, called Jean-Claude Van Damme. How very modest. But that's just it. This setup is a big part of what makes this movie so good. And like I said before, without it, it just wouldn't be the same. But it's also why nobody wants to see it. And that's why one of the movie's greatest strengths is also its most damning flaw.
Allô? Monsieur Van Damme?
This movie is the very definition of underestimated. It's a strong film with a lot to offer, but unable to convince anyone to give it enough attention to prove it. Unable to escape people's low opinions of it without them actually having seen it. And that really is a shame, because this is a great film. It's funny, it's honest, it's kinda cynical, actually. And it is surprisingly smart. This really is Jean-Claude Van Damme, as he's never been seen before, and I think everyone should give this one a chance. It might just surprise you too.
Longtemps que je l'ai pas fait, Jean-Claude. Hein. Bah, fais pas alors. Non, mais juste une fois. Hein. Regarde-moi, toi. Les yeux. Ah, bah, tu l'as eu? C'est bien, tu l'as eu?